It has always been true, but never more true than it is right now. The pictures you enjoy most are based on the most widely read novels. Recall Grapes of Wrath, Gone with the Wind, How Green Was My Valley.
He was marvelous because he never played the obvious. He never directed, obviously.
20th Century Fox brings you Jane Eyre.
He always directed in some strange or black way that you thought, well, that isn't right at all. But if you put your career in his hands,
played by the most discussed celebrity in the entertainment world, and the actress
he loved to mold you the way he wanted.
Whatever happens, do not open a door. Either door.
And it was always much better than you could do yourself. And of course, I love him dearly because he was very, very great to me. He was very kind to me. And he had great confidence in everything that I would do.
Would you like to work with him again?
Oh, adore to.
Yeah.
What's that doing here? No one is allowed up here. Understand? No one. Get thee down. Get thee down.
Jane, strange, almost unearthly thing. You that I love as my own flesh.
Don't mock me.
I roll off a blush. It's you I want. Answer me, Jane, quickly. Say, Edward, I'll marry you. Say it, Jane. Say it.
I want to read your face.
Read quickly. Say, Edward, I'll marry you.
I don't think that anybody, a comedian or an actor of any kind, says to himself at any time, I think I'm going to develop a style. I don't think he would know how to do that. I think you just find it. Innately, there's something that you do that you find out works for you. Some comedians talk very fast. They go from one joke to another joke to another joke, maybe topical humor. Now, I discovered when I first started to talk on the stage that would not have been my style. My style was to talk on a subject and stay on the subject.
Hey, it's Miss Harrington, Mr. Wells' secretary. Hello, Miss Harrington.
Hello, Dennis. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello, Slugger.
My, what an odd bed sheet. It has blue eyes.
This is me. This is me. I'm pale.
You certainly are. I have news for you, Mr. Benny. Mr. Wells is about to pay you a visit.
Orson? Orson's coming here to visit me?
Yes, he'll be here shortly. Rochester, I want this room tidied up at once.
Yes, Miss Harrington?
I want a chair placed beside the bed.
Yes, Miss Harrington.
And put an X on Mr. Benny's forehead so Mr. Wells can spot him immediately.
Now, look, I'm not that pale. Now, Miss Harrington, would you mind sitting over there in the corner? We were just starting to rehearse our program.
Rehearse without the master? Mr. Wells won't like it.
Nuts to Mr. Wells.
I know just how you feel, Daddy. Well, I'll be darned. She's human.
Attention, everybody. Mr. Wells is about to make his entrance.
Mr. Wells. Come in.
In early 1943, Orson Welles was in production alongside Joan Fontaine with 20th Century Fox for Jane Eyre.
This is Orson Welles.
Well, Wellesley.
Although Welles enjoyed acting for the screen, he preferred live radio. In March, when Jack Benny took ill with pneumonia, Welles filled in as host of the Jack Benny program.
Gee, you'd think he was Frank Remley or something, the way they're jumping around here.
Jack returns on April 11th, but Orson isn't quite ready to let go.
Well, Mary, it's nice to see you. How's Jack feeling today?
I feel well enough to do my broadcast, brother.
Wasn't that Jack's voice? Jack, where are you?
Right here. They forgot to mark me. Look, can't you see my big blue eyes?
Well, yes, they're gorgeous.
Thank you.
But you're so pale, Jack.
Well, you see, Orson, it's been so cloudy lately, I haven't been able to get any sun. I sit out in my backyard every day, but nothing happens.
I'll fix that. Miss Harrington, take a note.
Yes, Mr. Wells.
Get in touch with the Weather Bureau. The sun must shine tomorrow.
Yes, Mr. Wells.
See what I mean, Daddy?
Hey, maybe he can do it.
Oh, by the way, Jack, I noticed a lot of orange peels hanging on your clothesline. Is that to ward off evil spirits?
No, Mr. Billingsley, my boarder, was making some jukes. Now, if you'll excuse us for a few minutes, Orson, we'll go ahead with our rehearsal.
Oh, I certainly don't mind if I stay and watch, do you?
No, not at all. Now, as I was saying, fellas, Don introduces me, then I come on.
Pardon me, there doesn't seem to be a chair here.
What? No chair? Mr. Welles doesn't have a chair.
Oh, my goodness. Here, Orson, take mine.
No, Orson, take my chair. Take mine. It's got a pretty cushion on it.
Take my chair, Orson. It's peachy. Here, take the bed. I'll go out and hang on the clothesline. For heaven's sake. Now, let's get going with this rehearsal, whether Mr. Welles is standing, sitting, or floating around the room. Now, the first thing to do is, Orson, come down here. He knows more magic. Now, the first thing to do is run over the dialogue.
Run over the dialogue? Oh, no, that'll never do. No.
What do you mean, no?
Comedy, Jack, should never be rehearsed. Repetition destroys its sparkle and spontaneity.
But
the
Orson,
important elements of a variety program are the songs and music.
Look,
now,
Orson,
Dennis, I want you to run over your song so we can get an idea of its length.
Now, wait a minute, Orson. This rehearsal is my business. You're not even going to be on the show.
I know, but I shall be listening. It's about time we listeners had something to say. Sing, Dennis.
Yeah, sing. I see what you mean, sister.
We never did anything that we thought was going to last. We never framed anything. We never started anything that we said. For instance, I've never gone to my writers, and they never went to me. And came to me and said, let's make you a stingy character. Let's make Love and Bloom your theme song. Let's have a feud between you and Fred Allen. See, if we'd have framed all of that ahead of time, it would have never worked out. It always started by an accident. By accident, we wrote a couple of stingy jokes, and then they got big laughs, so we, each week or every third week, we would put in a few stingy jokes, and before I knew it, I was a stingy man.
You know the famous story that George Burns did to Jack Benny? It had to do with Jeanette MacDonald, did it not, Freddie?
I don't know it.
It's a wonderful story, and it shows you how you can psych somebody out. Apparently, Jeanette MacDonald and her husband threw lovely parties, but inevitably, before the evening was over, somebody would ask Jeanette MacDonald to sing, which she would. And if they didn't,
she had somebody hired who would.
You know, because she wanted to sing. So George used to say to Jack Benny, 3 days before the party, he'd say, Jack, when Jeanette MacDonald gets up to sing at the party, don't laugh. It would be very embarrassing. He'd call him the next day. Jack, you know, somebody's going to ask Jeanette to sing. I would be very embarrassed if you laughed. While she... Sure enough, so they're at the party and somebody says, Jeanette, would you sing a song? And Jack goes right out. It was all over. He was physically unable not to explode with laughter.
I know that's true, as it sounds like George, for one thing.
He was.
And Jack also was, you could get him quicker than anybody who ever lived.
Was a great patsy for George.
Oh, he was one of the only great comedians who really enjoyed other comedians.
Right, he did.
How is that, Mr. Welles? Do you think it'll do for the program?
Well, Dennis, I think Mr. Benny should answer that question. After all, he's running the show this week.
Darn right I am. Your song was swell, Dennis, but it's a little long. I want you to cut half a minute out of it.
Half a minute cut of that beautiful ballad would ruin it.
Might, at that. Tell you what, Dennis, I want you to add a half a minute to it.
You want him to add half a minute and destroy its musical climax?
I never thought of that. I didn't... leave it alone, Dennis.
Leave it alone? You want him to leave it alone and...
Now, wait a minute, Orson. Orson? Took him 10 years to build up the name Orson Welles. I made it Oris in 1 second. Look at Orson. What the heck do you want?
I wish I knew.
So do I. Look, Orson, it's getting late. Do you mind?
You know.
Look, Orson, I'm sorry I killed your gag there. Or I'm glad. I don't know which.
This manuscript here on the table, is it a screenplay?
No, that's my autobiography, Orson. I've been working on the story of my life since I've been sick.
Intriguing title. Jack Benny, From Rags to Radio.
Yes, I was going to call it The Loves of Jack Benny, but I haven't done so well.
My. It's a thrilling opening. I, Jack Benny, was born on a farm near Waukegan, Illinois, many years ago.
It is thrilling, isn't it?
It's a great day of great rejoicing on the farm. Chickens were cackling, cows were mooing, hogs were grunting, and Father was cockeyed.
What a celebration.
Young Jack Benny, from his very earliest days...
Pardon me for interrupting, Orson, but we've got to get finished with our rehearsal.
No. This is interesting. Go ahead, Orson. Go ahead.
But, Jack, now, I've got to rehearse the sponsor's message yet.
You've got to yet? Oh, yes, the sponsor's message. Well, Don, as long as I haven't been on the show for 5 weeks, I thought we'd concentrate on me.
Now, just a minute, Jack. You can't seriously believe that we listeners tune in to the Grape Nuts Flakes program every week just to hear about you.
But, Orson...
Of course not. We want to know how those toasty brown, sweet as a nut little flakes are getting along.
But, Oswald...
We want to know... we want to know if they still... Now, you know I can't louse up the sponsors.
No.
I got it pronounced. We want to know if they still have that malty rich flavor. And if
Well, the sponsors?
Yeah. We want to know if they still have that malty rich flavor and if they're still America's fastest growing flake cereal.
But, Orson, look, I think that people want to know... Darn that nightshirt. But, Orson, after Don delivers his message, can't I talk about myself? Can't I tell people my cold is better?
Jack, I wouldn't take any bows on that cold till you're strong enough to have a beautiful nurse.
Oh, well, I'll tell them anyway. Huh?
Well, and how's my little patient? Shall we take that nasty cast off your leg today?
Doc, I'm not a cocker spaniel. Look, but as long as you're here, you can give me an aspirin. All this excitement is giving me a little headache.
An aspirin? Here you are.
Thank you.
That'll be 5 cents, please.
Look, put it on my bill. Now, if I can just swallow the thing.
Would you like to grease the track with a little cough medicine, Mr. Benny?
I don't need any chaser. See, it's down.
Say, that was a pretty big pill. It didn't look like an aspirin to me.
Me neither.
You neither? You're the doctor.
Well, you don't have to get so huffy about it. I just happened to give you a sleeping pill by mistake.
What?
You're lucky. It might have been a dog biscuit.
A sleeping pill? He gave me a sleeping pill. Gosh, I can't go to sleep. I got a show to do today. Remember, Don, you introduce me, and I'll come out and I'll say...
Well, Orson, looks like you'll have to do the show today.
I'll be glad to, Mary.
Now, come on, everybody. Let him sleep.
Those pills are wonderful. I'm headed for Central Avenue. I came back for the cough medicine, folks.
If you're a wartime homemaker, then you're a member of the WINS, W-I-N-S, Women in National Service. And one of your big jobs is keeping the family well fed in spite of wartime food restrictions. Well, your job will be a lot easier.
Your kind indulgence, a miracle of the ancient East.
With the fee received from Jane Eyre, he approached the War Assistance League of Southern California. His proposal, a big top spectacle, part circus, part magic show. Welles would be magician and director. Fiancé Rita Hayworth was to be Welles's chief assistant, and Joseph Cotton would co-produce.
We should like the assistance of two able-bodied, open-minded, clean-living young gentlemen to assist us in sewing Marlene Dietrich in half.
It would be called the Mercury Wonder Show. Proceeds went to the War Assistance League, and servicemen entered free. The show rehearsed for 17 weeks. Welles tested almost 20 opening acts before he was satisfied. In May, just before previews began, Welles was declared 4F, unfit for military service. By June, the Mercury Wonder Show cast had grown to 31 people. Welles called it the biggest magic show on Earth. He put $40 grand into production, and MGM provided a Hollywood lot. The Mercury Wonder Show debuted on August 3, 1943. But after the first night, head of Columbia Pictures Harry Cohn forbade Rita Hayworth from continuing.
I'm sorry, Marlene, this can't be rehearsed. This is one trick you can't repeat.
She was busy filming CoverGirl, and would have breached her contract if she continued. Welles brought in Marlene Dietrich.
Well, she's the most loyal friend that anybody could ever ask for. Her loyalty is ferocious. Her professionalism is impeccable. She has a marvelous sense of humor. She was one of the all-time glamour people. And we did our magic show together, you know, for a long time. So we had not only a long friendship, but also a long professional association.
A portion of the stage show was included in the 1944 variety film Follow the Boys. The segment was directed by Welles, and he received no credit.
Orson didn't. Orson could ride beautifully if he didn't have to think about the treasury as far as that's concerned. I remember one time we were doing the Wonder Show. Did he ever tell you about the Wonder Show that he did, the magic show? Well, I played the Calliope outside and dressed all of the people and packed all the pigeons and all that kind of thing backstage. Yeah. And at the very end, he called the meeting to order, because Joe Cotton and Orson and I were the organizers of the Mercury Theater. Joe was president, I was vice president, and Orson was treasurer. There was never any money in the treasury. Well, all of a sudden, Orson said, you know, we're $45,000 in the hole. And I thought of all the things that I was going to be sued for, you know, and I was frantic. And it just so happened that Universal had a segment about a magician. I said, take it, Orson, take it, and ask for $45,000 and we'll get out of the hole. Which he did, and he got $45,000 and we were out of debt. But see, Orson was like that. Things that he was paid for, he put right back into his work.
Orson? How do I know these are my legs?
Have no fear. I will hypnotize her, and she'll know.
The Welles segment in Follow the Boys was initially to be shot in 4 days, but Welles stretched filming to make sure the cast got extra pay. The Mercury Wonder Show was also broadcast over KMDR.
The makers of Mobil Gas and Mobil Oil bring you Orson Welles.
Good evening, everybody. This is Orson Welles. Tonight, the Mercury Wonder Show is pitching its 10th at the Los Angeles Port of Embarkation in Wilmington, and right here, I'm sorry to have to make this announcement. But the guest star we originally planned to have with us tonight just wasn't available at this time, so we had to take somebody else. I know this is a big disappointment to you, but it just couldn't be helped. So appearing with us tonight instead of Bela Lugosi is Lana Turner. Thanks for taking it like this. You fellas are really good sports. Well, I know why you feel this way about Lana. I guess you've heard what a good job she's been doing playing all the Army camps. And not only just the big ones. Last week, Lana played a camp so small, the CO was an acting PFC. We had a nice trip. We had a nice trip coming down here to the camp tonight. The officers were swell, particularly Colonel Herbert. We were very flattered. We've never had a colonel come to Hollywood to escort us to the camp before. course, we've never had Lana Turner on the program before. I sat in the front of the car, and the colonel sat in the back next to Lana. It's the first time I've ever seen a colonel with barbecued eagles. Well, now, just in a minute, we're going to bring you one of our regular Mercury GI fables, a little something starring the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer somebody, Miss Lana Turner, plus the celebrated Private Mulvihill of See Here Private Hargrove, Dr. Keenan Wynn. But first, who's here but Johnny McIntyre?
Well, here it is, folks. Sound Man's Holiday, or the case of the cranky crankcase. Listen. The car goes limping along the road.
This episode featured Lana Turner.
Very low on oil.
But it was Welles' femme fatale fiancé from Brooklyn that he was most interested in.
Do you remember how you first saw her?
Oh, certainly, and a full page in Life magazine. I was in South America, and I saw that picture and vowed that I was going to see that girl. It was awfully hard to get her on the phone.
Did you also vow that you would marry her?
Yeah, and we were a long time together. I think I was lucky enough to be with her longer than any of the other men in her life. She is a dear person, and she was a wonderful wife and an extraordinary girl in every way. And I've never heard anybody who sounds like an enemy, or she doesn't have them.
At intermission on September 7th, 1943, Hal Stiles interviewed the Wonder Show audience and cast, including Welles and Rita Hayworth. They were married earlier that day.
Himself, Orson the Magnificent, will you step to the microphone for just a moment and tell us, first of all, why are you just walking out on us, so to speak?
Walking out on you? Walking out is not a fair way to describe the situation. I'm a man who's just been married.
And would you mind telling us who you've been married to?
There she is. There she is.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you the lovely, incomparable, the one and only Rita Hayworth, who today became the very blushing and very charming bride of Orson Welles. Rita, will you just say hello?
Hello. I'm... No.
No, wait.
I am... I was...
No, wait a minute. It can't end as quickly as all that. I know I can appreciate that a marriage has taken place, but after all, we do have some listeners. We want... what do you think of Orson?
Oh, shut
What do I think of my husband? Oh!
Well, at any rate, this is truly a wonderful show, and I know that you played a very important part in it until Marlene Dietrich very kindly took your place, but I can appreciate now the reason for this. There must have been a very, very important reason. Now I want to bring, we just have a moment or two, I want to bring Marlene Dietrich to the microphone and ask her whether or not, do you enjoy the part that you've been playing in the show?
I love it.
And are you sort of sorry to see it to sort of come to a rather hasty conclusion?
Oh, I don't think we will close.
Well, that's very good. Orson applauds that. Maybe when he returns from Washington, he will be very happy to see that the thing continues. Personally, I hate to see the show end because it's been a wonderful show, as all of the people brought to the microphone thus far have been able to so very volubly testify. Marlena, did you, I don't know how to say it, but this mind-reading demonstration you gave is really very unusual. Did you have you been doing things like that all your life?
Oh, yes, all my life.
You enjoy doing the work?
Yes, I love it, too.
Well, just as Orson said, the seventh daughter of a seventh daughter. Now, Orson, before we sign off, and I don't know just how much time we do have left here, we've got time enough, he says, tell me, what prompted you to, present this show?
Well, the Mercury is not accomplished at singing and dancing and telling jokes, so we tried to think of something that would hold the attention for an hour and a half or 2 hours, and this is the best we could do. Magic. It gives us a peg to hang our jokes on and a chance to show the men in service somebody as beautiful as Marlene Dietrich, and an opportunity for some bright music and a few gags, and that's about it.
Due to her studio issues with Columbia, Hayworth kept the marriage a secret until it was too late for Harry Cohn to stop her.
Fiery Latin temper?
Well, she's half gypsy, you know. She never got mad at me once, but she used to throw the stuff around the house a little bit when she'd think about Harry Cohn.
The head of the studio.
Yes.
Yeah.
We must remember that he got the biggest funeral that anybody ever had in Hollywood, biggest turnout.
Right.
And somebody said to Billy Wilder, "Why are there so many people here at Harry Cohen's funeral?" And he said, well, give the people what they want.
Welles remarked that the Mercury Wonder Show had been performed for over 48,000 members of the U.S. Armed Forces. They closed up shop 2 days later on September 9th.